What's going on? Happy New Year, NRPA. This is a 2-year quorum from the Maryland National Capital Parking Planning Commission. And today I'm hanging out with Dietrich Stanford and Nate Jaramillo. And we're going to have a little conversation to be able to add to the Young Professional Network Professional Blog Series, Professional Development Blog Series. So this is our first entry for 2015. Today we're going to get an outlook from Dietrich as well as Nate on the respective committees that they oversee via NRPA. So first going to let them introduce themselves, also be able to share some information about the departments they work for, and then give some information about the committees that y'all chair.
Well, Tuya, thanks for inviting us. Dietrich Stanford, Director of Parks and Recreation in Clayton County, Georgia, and also serve as the Board of Directors Chair for NRPA Board of Directors.
Nate Jaramillo, a Recreation Specialist with Clark County Parks and Recreation right here in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm the current chair of the Young Professional Network, and really excited to do this for all the membership.
Cool, sound good. So today we want to be able to give a little bit of information, hopefully to be able to inspire young professionals to get more involved in NRPA, and also to get an understanding of what's the plans and goals for NRPA this year. So first question, we're going to just get a little information and be able to share with our audience, what does the NRPA Board of Directors do, and how does it work in the overall concept of the mission of NRPA?
Gotcha. So in layman's and in simple terms, the NRPA Board of Directors is responsible for the legislative and the fiduciary responsibility for the operations of NRPA. Fortunately enough, we have a president and a CEO, Barbara Tugel-Payne, who's responsible for kind of the day-to-day operations, and the board is responsible for the oversight of the operations of NRPA.
Cool. And Nate, if you could just let our audience know as it relates to the Young Professional Network and how they work within NRPA.
The Young Professional Network is actually a small segment niche group of the NRPA, National Recreation and Parks Association. And what we do is we're basically the voice for the young professionals. And through our different agendas, we put out professional development, work with NRPA on Congress Week, and do socials while at Congress. My goal this year is to just continue putting out as much professional content that we can that's going to fit in the realm of work that our membership does.
Cool. You kind of touched on it a little bit, and Dietrich maybe chime in and let us know what are some of the goals and plans of NRPA Board of Directors for 2015, and how they intertwine with the 3 pillars.
Great question. Coming off of a very successful Congress in Charlotte, one of the main things we want to continue to push forward is the 3 pillars. The foundation behind the 3 pillars really was about trying to ensure there's some continuity and some common base for what's happening throughout the country, regardless of what your Park and Recreation Department is about. You have some 3 foundational principles. Those principles obviously is conservation, health and wellness, and social equity. And so we're always trying to figure out ways, how do we bring greater attention to those 3 pillars so that therefore any member of our association have some common ground about what we're doing.
Right. And Nate, I know with the Young Professional Network, there's definitely been some changes as it relates to the blogging and the vlogging that's going to take place this year. And how are you going to try to incorporate the 3 pillars with that process?
One of the main goals this year is actually what we did is we created a position on our committees, a representative for each pillar. So that person is now in charge of putting out blogs, vlogs, and posting content through NRPA Connect and through the various social networks that fit in line with NRPA's goal of putting forth these pillars. For me, it's a great experience because some of them are things that I don't deal with on a daily basis, and so we're just trying to get that out to everyone to get that realm of knowledge that they may not have. One of the other things that we're looking to push this year with the Young Professional Network is the use of NRPA Connect, which is, if you go to nrpa.org, click on NRPA Connect, there's a whole social network there for parks and rec professionals to utilize, and it's free of charge for all NRPA members.
All right, next question for y'all is, the goals and the plans that y'all have outlined for the Board of Directors as well as the YPN for this year are great. How can young professionals and students get involved to help make sure that those are some successes that NRPA has? Dietrich?
Well, fortunately, YPN has played a major role in continuing to push the agenda forward for NRPA. And I think really what that really centers around, most importantly, is simply getting involved. Right. We've had young professionals be involved in the NRPA board retreat. They come to the board meetings. and they're always trying to figure out ways they can be more actively engaged into the mission and the vision of our association. And so we always encourage young professionals to partner up or pair up with one of the board members or leadership throughout our association to ensure that whatever work we're doing, that they're actively involved in that process.
Nate, from NRPA conferences that we go to, there's a lot of energy from young professionals. So how can they channel that energy from the conference and be able to transit throughout the year and to be able to help us, accomplish some of those goals that you outlined for the network this year?
I think Dietrich kind of hit it right on the head. He said, get involved. With the YPN, we're not asking you to come in and take over a committee. You can do something as simple as writing a blog, posting something on NRPA Connect, posting something on the YPN Facebook page, or just get involved with the mentorship program that we have with the Administrators Network. There's a ton of avenues that we have for anyone, young professional or student, to get involved a little bit or to just fully engulf themselves in the YPN.
Dietrich and Nate, y'all really, since I've known y'all have been leaders within this organization. So maybe just share with our audience, what kind of got you on that path of leadership and why do you do what you do? Why do you serve in this capacity, not only at your agency, but within the organization and for the field? So with that said, Dietrich, maybe just give us some individuals that maybe inspired you to be a leader.
I've been very fortunate in this profession to have individuals that always knew service is before self.
Right.
And so being a true public servant, I've always had individuals that have kind of cultivated the message about always giving back to your respective communities. I've been fortunate enough to work with a lot of pioneers in our field of parks and recreation, Marvin Billups, even past chairs, Bob Johnson, Robert Farnsworth. All these individuals have played key roles within the organization and always believe in giving back their time and all that they do. And so I continue to try to do that by having great conversations like with yourself and Nate, as you always trying to inspire to push forth for better opportunities in the field, and I think that's pretty much our responsibility.
Right. As a young professional, but also a leader, Nate, what would you say to new professionals coming in, students just coming in? A lot of times when they're in the setting of NRPA conferences, do they have an opportunity to maybe meet individuals like Dietrich, meet Barbara, people like that? So how would you encourage them to maybe be able to network and talk to professionals that are a little bit more seasoned?
I think one of the main things people need to realize when they're at these conferences, we've all been in the young professional or student role. So don't be afraid to approach someone like myself or Dietrich or Barbara, because we've been there. They've been there before. They know where we're coming from. And in the entire Parks and Recreation field, we're people. We are very social, so striking up a conversation is never going to be a problem. And that's kind of how I initially got started was when I was a senior at UNLV here in Las Vegas, I was able to strike up a conversation with the Penn State Student Recreation Club, found out what they were doing, decided to go back to UNLV when I got back from a conference in Reno, and started a club, the student club at UNLV. Took that, got a mentor in Dirk Richwine and Chris Nunes, who were very involved in both NRPA and on the state level, and have used them as basically sources of resources for my career, whether it be through conversation or through talking at conference. So it's a great field. It's an open field. Talk to people. Get involved. Just be open, and you're not going to find someone who's going to blow you off or not be involved and want to help you succeed.
We continue to give some insight to young professionals in our audience that will be seeing this. Please share with them, what are some of the decisions and some of the most important decisions that you've had to make or you see yourself making, as chair of the NRPA Board of Directors?
Oh, well, I think one of the misconceptions about being the chair of a board is that it's about the individual capacity that you have. I think it's really about the collective decisions of the board.
Right.
I think the fact that we have the ability to be impactful about being change agents in our field of parks and recreation is really, really important. I just feel blessed to be at the forefront of a movement, I would think. Think about the work that YPN is pushing forth in trying to be change agents in the field of parks and recreation is most important. I think my primary role and my strength as a board member is I try to be a consensus builder. It's not so much about my ideas, but how do you collectively take all the ideas of many and try to come to a better idea. So I think that's kind of been the primary component of a change agent that I feel has been most important with my role and responsibility as the chair of the board of directors.
Cool, cool. Same thing for you, Nate. What do you see this year as some of your most important decisions that you will have to make, that you've already had to make thus far? So share that with our audience.
For me, it's a matter of deciding what we're going to put out. When we're on our monthly YPN leadership calls, a million ideas get brought forth.
Right.
We have to decide what we're going to approach NRPA with. Decide, is that going to fit in with the goals and the criteria and the vision that NRPA has? And is it going to fit meet the needs of our membership?
Right.
So that's the biggest goal. With the YPN, we have such a broad spectrum of young professionals and students that range from, like I said, from students all the way to frontline workers to directors that are all considered young professionals. So we have to meet the needs of that large group, and so the decisions we make, are vital.
Right. Also, definitely, Nate, want to be able to share with our audience some of the professional development opportunities that you've taken advantage of since being an active member, engaged member of NRPA. So hopefully people can maybe take some advice that you have to help propel their career.
For me, it all started back, and it's what I feel is the biggest bang for my buck is NRPA conference. I've been going since my senior year of college, which was 2005. Actually, 2004, I believe, was Reno. And for the student, get involved with the student club. Walk down University Row, meet the other students, see what they're doing, and see if you can take some of that information back to your university and utilize it there. As a young professional, I've utilized conference for educational purposes, social purposes, and that's where I got involved initially. After that, I started to apply for fellowships and scholarships through both NRPA and through the American Academy of Parks and Recreation Administrators. And I've been fortunate enough to receive some of those scholarships and fellowships, and that's allowed me to become more involved and increase my basically my scope and my realm of people that I interact with on a yearly basis.
Cool. And we definitely want to remind our audience to be able to take advantage of some of those scholarship and fellowship opportunities that you will see via NRPA when they come out. Right. Dietrich, one main goal of the professional development blog series is to give young professional students some advice, some encouragement on how to become leaders. So what would you say to those potentially going into leadership for the first time, into a leadership position, if it's being a leader of a student club, if it's a leader, a position at their department?
Got it. First and foremost, you got to have an understanding what's the mission and the goals of the organization. I think any leader that's pushing forward to be better or make the organization better, you got to understand the foundation of what the organization is all about. And then as a leader, you got to figure out, how can I enhance that mission?
Right.
Once you determine that, then you can kind of find your own space and your own direction in ensuring that that goal is met. So I think that would be the kind of first advice I would give to someone that's aspiring to venture out in a leadership position.
Okay. Nate, as a young professional and as a leader, what are you doing, because you're still a young professional, what are you doing to ensure that you continue to grow as a leader?
One of the things that I've done is I've basically, kept an open mind on everything, and then found people who have been in the leadership position and talked to them a little bit. One of the people I talk to on a consistent basis is actually Shane Mines, who's a former chair of the Young Professional Network, and he's taught me a couple things that the decisions I make are going to be hard, and they're not always going to be make everyone happy.
Right.
So by taking some of those things and realizing that there's tough decisions that are going to be made, that's helping me. That's some of the tough decisions and some of the changes I've had to make as a leader and as a professional, knowing that you can't please everyone. And I mean, that's basically the big steps that I've made this year so far in the short time that I've been as the chair of the Young Professional.
Last question for you, Dietrich and Nate, is why do you feel that NRPA young professionals and students are essential to helping us achieve those goals and plans that y'all outlined for 2015 from the board of directors aspect, from the Young Professional Network, from the whole concept of NRPA?
Got it. I kind of love one of the quotes that our past chair of the board of directors brought forth, Robert Ashcraft. And the thing about that is about generative thinking. Generative thinking is not about making decisions that's going to impact our association today. It's about where will our association be 10 to 15 years from now.
Right.
And so when you're thinking about that, it's not so much about what I'm doing today. It's about you. It's about the Nate. It's about the Shane Mazes of the world. That what are you doing to shape this profession so that therefore the generations behind you will make the actual association better. And so we're trying to implore what we call the generative thinking approach, that if we're doing the things we're supposed to do now, then the park and recreation profession will be much better 10, 15, 20 years down the road.
Right. Same thing, Nate.
For me, as the young professional chair, is I need to find someone to take over. I can't be under 35 forever as much as I'd like to be,
Right.
but it's all about succession planning. We need to prepare ourselves for the future, and by that, we need to find that next leader.
Right.
And for me, it's finding that person. Who is that person? Who's going to take over after me? And who's not, and not just next year, but 5 years down the road. And also, as far as bringing in the students, we've got a age range from 35 to all the way to 18 years old in the Young Professional Network. So their thinking is going to be completely different than my thinking. And I need to encompass that into the goals of not only the Young Professional Network, but NRPA, because it's a completely different train of thought at times. So that's for me, it's important to get all those minds together.
Cool. Well, here it is, NRPA. We're closing it out. Had a great time with Deidre and Nate. Young Professional Network, Professional Development Blog Series. First one for 2015. Continue to stay connected with us via NRPA Connect.